from Indonesia. Yeah. So the three of us gonna have a very difficult task to judge these oral presentations and to give some advice. So we just have to catch up with the time, not run out of control. So I'll welcome the first speaker, Dr. Ahmed Munir. Dr. Ahmed Munir, who has prepared something about, if I'm not mistaken, Zika virus. Or I'm not- yeah, exactly. So Dr. Ahmed Munir is from Malaysia, from Monash University in Malaysia, and he talked about Zika as a recent public health problem. Dr. Ahmed, you have 50 minutes, so please take the
Okay,
time.
thank you. Dear chairs, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Though you must be quite tired, I won't take more than 10 minutes. So I'll try to finish as soon as possible. The topic now is, this is because we have a Zika outbreak in Malaysia and Singapore. So I decided to share whatever I can gather information with you. So the title is Zika as a recent public health problem. Sorry, this is not the slide which I passed on because I made few changes. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. So Zika as a recent public health problem, workplace prevention and vector control measures. So I'll be focusing on the workplace prevention and vector control. This is the outline of my presentation. As you know, previously it has been told to you by the Dato from Ministry of Health that in February 2016, WHO they announced international public health emergency after they had increased number of cases of microcephaly, Guillain-Barré syndrome, and other neurological problems due to Zika infection in pregnancy. So during the same period, 36 countries, they reported local transmission of Zika across America, Africa, East Asia, and Pacific Islands. So this graph is showing you the distribution of Zika in different WHO regions. So as you see, especially in 2016, there's a quite sharp increase. Okay, so microcephaly basically is a birth defect where the baby's head is smaller than expected and brain is also smaller and not fully developed. Other effects apart from these are infection during pregnancy, are eye defects, hearing loss, and impaired growth. This virus is transmitted by Aedes mosquito, which also spread dengue and chikungunya as well as yellow fever. Aedes aegypti is a key vector, but Albopictus can also be responsible for some cases. And Zika can also be transmitted by sex with a Zika infected person. In human, basically it was discovered in 1952 in Uganda, and from 60s to 80s there have been several outbreaks in Africa, Asia, and Americas. And during 2015, it was linked with the Guillain-Barré syndrome and microcephaly in Brazil. Its links with other neurological diseases are still under investigation. So there's so many gray areas. So coming back to our region, there was a recent outbreak in Singapore and Malaysia. In 2016, Singapore Ministry of Health, they detected 14 cases in one of the neighborhood, and they were all locally transmitted, and there was no history of overseas travel. So by the end of August 2016, Malaysia Ministry of Health also reported first case of Zika in Selangor. That was a lady who traveled to Singapore to meet her daughter, who also suffered from Zika. And this episode was followed by 5 more cases who basically live and work in Singapore. So as you already been told, basically every day there are 250,000 people who are crossing the border to go to Singapore to work there. So they can be the possible victims. So something about surveillance and insecticide resistance. Surveillance provide the knowledge about distribution of the local ADs with distribution maps to guide the vector control activities. So insecticide basically they control larvae and adults of this mosquito, and with the frequent use, the adults mosquito they are developing the resistance to these insecticides. So resistance testing is done for selecting effective insecticide against Zika epidemic and provide the geography of insecticide resistance for control programs. So something about infection in humans. 1 out of 5 they develop Zika symptom 2 to 7 days after a bite of an infected mosquito. Zika symptoms are mild and they also last from 2 to 7 days, and common symptoms could be fever, rash, joint pain, red eyes, myalgia, headache. Symptoms resemble dengue, chikungunya, and neurological autoimmune complications have been seen in Polynesia and Brazil outbreaks. So how do we test? All pregnant women who have been sexually exposed to Zika without barrier method should be tested. And but apart from this, one has to carry on doing the routine ultrasound at 18 and 20 weeks, and one has to test the person who develops Zika symptoms, and this can be should also be reported to their partners. Okay, this is something about the algorithm. If you see here, the top bar in the yellow color, if a person is living or has recently traveled to Zika area, or if such a person had unprotected sex with a partner who live or travel in an area with the Zika, if the answer is no, then no need to test. But if the answer is yes, then you have to test them for Zika. So basically, diagnosis is based on the travel history, symptom, test results, blood urine test. They are supposed to be sent to a certified lab which can confirm the diagnosis. So now I'm going to talk about the workplace. What can be the issues in a workplace regarding this epidemic? So workers with Zika, whether they have suspected or confirmed case, there is no specific treatment or medicine, and they need to take a lot of rest, and they need to continue taking fluids for hydration. And for the fever, one should avoid the NSAIDs and should be given the paracetamols. If being treated by other medical problem, these patients they need to tell the doctor and seek their advice regarding the medications which they are already on. To prevent further persons from getting Zika, the most important thing, I repeat again, the most important thing for prevention of the epidemic is to avoid the mosquito bite during the first week of disease. This is, I am talking about the affected person. To prevent sexual transmission, one has to stop the sexual activity, or you need to use a condom for protection. So what are the people who are at higher risk of Zika? Usually are the outdoor workers who are working in who are prone to mosquito bite, and they are in the Zika area. So they are the one who can get the virus. So now, what an employer should do regarding the control and prevention? So they should train the workers about the risk of mosquito bites and to protect themselves from this bite. Supervisor and workers should be also trained on the Zika symptoms, and the insect repellents should be provided, and they should be encouraged to apply and use these repellents, and they need to be EPA registered. Worker should be provided clothing which cover hand, arm, legs, and exposed skin, and they are encouraged to wear it. Also, apart from these clothes, they need to have hats which have netting on them to protect the bites on the face and the neck. If the weather is hot, they are encouraged to wear the light and loose clothing, and they also need to prevent heat illnesses, as I said before, with the extra water intake and frequent raise. Employees should also discard empty containers in and around the workplace which can hold the water like tire, buckets, barrels to minimize breeding for the mosquito. Upon the worker request, the employer they have to reassign indoor tasks to those who indicate pregnancy or who may become pregnant or whose sexual partner is or may become pregnant to minimize mosquito bite risk. Workers should get prompt medical examination and follow up after suspected Zika. And they should be also given leave for a week. Worker recommendation. So they are overlapping with the previous one. So they need to use the EPA registered repellents and chemicals such as permethrin can be applied to the clothes and the gear. If sunscreen is used, it has to be applied before the repellent. Clothes must be covering, as I mentioned, hands, arms, legs, and exposed skin, and also need to use heads with the netting for face and neck protection. In hot environment again, wear light and loose clothes, and to prevent heat-related illnesses, extra water intake and rest break should be encouraged. Discard the container which holds the water to eliminate the breeding site and discuss outdoor work assignments with the supervisor if your partner are pregnant or may become pregnant. If having Zika symptoms, inform doctors about mosquito contact. So what are the additional recommended measures? Worker entering mosquito area need extra skin protection. To prevent the bite, employer should provide them protective clothing, insect repellent, especially those who are mixing, loading, applying, or performing tasks involving insecticide need extra protection to prevent to reduce exposure to hazardous chemicals. Employees should comply with the OSHA, PPE standards and other requirements. For mosquito control activities requiring respirator, employees should comply with the selection, medical clearance, fit testing, and other standards of OSHA respiratory protection. So now, keeping Malaysia in mind, I mean Malaysian workplaces, workplace transmission, exposure and impact on the worker health and productivity is not fully known. So this is a problem and this is questioning the industry's readiness to handle Zika outbreak at the workplace, preparedness, cost of prevention, control and management of complication and rehab of affected workers. So head of industries like Labor Union, Social Security, Ministry of Health, DOSH, Department of Labor, Environment should anticipate short and long-term impacts of Zika on the health and productivity of the workers. Recent Zika virus has spread across continent requiring novel surveillance and vector control approaches, especially at the workplace to target mosquito-borne diseases. So what are the novel methods of Zika control? I'll just discuss two, there are a few more. So as mentioned previously that there is a bacteria, Wolbachia. What does it do? It stops the dengue and Zika viruses from growing inside the mosquito. In that way, it can be helpful to control the disease. Aedes mosquito who carry this bacteria has been released in Australia, Brazil, Indonesia and Vietnam to control the dengue. And this is also, as you know, is the same mosquito. We can use the same technique to prevent Zika outbreaks. So such mosquito has been also released in Rio de Janeiro in 2014 and 15. And these trials are monitored and evaluated to stop the spread and control of disease. And some places they also use larva eating fish for Zika and dengue control. So these are my references. Thank you. And just a last word, the main thing as the bottom line is to protect the bite of infected person and that's the most effective way to control the Zika outbreak. Thank you. So do I need to stay here or? No, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll take some questions now. Is there any question from the audience? No, please, Dr. Khalid.
You mentioned, thanks for your presentation and information that you gave us. What is the difference of environment from Singapore to Malaysia that you say all the workers are going to Singapore and they are getting infected there?
Actually, what happened at that time, there was no outbreak in Malaysia. It started from Singapore, and the people who visited Singapore, they had it. Though the ecological environment is same in the both countries, but in Singapore they had local cases which originated locally. So the people who went there, they got bitten by the mosquitoes, and they bring back this disease. As I mentioned, the first case was in Selangor, in one of the states in Malaysia. That lady, she went to Singapore to see her daughter who was also suffering from Zika. So I presume probably she got bitten by the mosquito who also had bitten before her daughter, and in that way probably she got the infection. And then started on. There were, up to my knowledge, by the end of August, there were 5 cases after that. 5 cases.
Is there any explanation for it? Because the ecology is the same.
You mean for the transfer to Malaysia or?
No, why it's in Singapore and not in Malaysia? Because it's globally the climate is the same, the ecology is the same.
That detail, sorry, I'm not so clear about your question.
Why it's only in Singapore and not also in Malaysia?
No, as I said, it was locally transmitted. It started from Singapore. That was the local cases. And this area, okay, if you are thinking that this area is famous to what you call have this kind of a breed of mosquito, Aedes and Albopictus, this Egypti. So I don't know how the thing first person got infected, and I'm not sure. I couldn't find the thing in my search. So
Actually, you should go to the principles of, preventive medicine. And all what it tells you started somewhere. But the question you can easily know from the genetics. We had that experience actually. We were in tuberculosis, and we did not know where is the cause of tuberculosis. We compared actually 2 genetics, one from Singapore and from the university, and it's different. So what happened to the mother? She went visited her daughter, and she got from her place. But why did it start there? That's the question. Singapore should have done that. It's easy to explain why the mother, but why did it come to Singapore and they had 14 cases? That's the real square that should start the process actually.
yes, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, there may be a vacuum because I don't have access to these Ministry of Health data. So whatever I can gather on my own, this is the one I had.
No, because the question is, when the lady in Singapore got infected, what were the measures taken by the Singapore authorities and all the rest?
I don't know. The best thing probably they have gone because I have not seen those measures when I try to access. So I don't know what measure they took because sometimes some things are not to be made public. So that could be the reason. I'm not sure. I don't want to say any further.
I have one question to Dr. Ahmed. You said that it's very important for us to control the secondary infection for those confirmed cases to avoid from secondary bite from mosquito. So because mosquito will be everywhere, even indoor, so will you recommend isolation for those confirmed patients until they are virus free?
Okay, as I mentioned, they need to be given 1 week off and they need to be confined to prevent the mosquito bites. So once this source is, there's a barrier between this source and the mosquito, then it will be a bit easier to break the cycle of transmission.
Because if the patient is already a patient, he already developed the disease,
Yeah.
if he got bitten once again, what happens?
No, the issue is not, I mean, if he's bitten by the mosquito, that mosquito can bite some other person and transmit. That's the main issue. Otherwise, if he already have the disease, nothing much upon him, he's already suffering. He cannot get, another episode. No?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Qureshi.
Right. Thank you.
Very good
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you.
So we have the second speaker, Dr. Haida from the Emergency and Trauma Department of the iMIREX hospitals. And the topic he is going to present is Ebola stood up from zero to hero.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. I'm Dr. Nur Shaida Zulkifli. I'm emergency physician from Miri Hospital, Sarawak. So my topic of presentation, before that, I think we are very lucky because we have given a second chance, a second time to present on the same topic entitled Ebola Suit Up, but this time I add on a bit from zero to hero. Right, this is the outline of my presentation, including the hospital overview, EBD preparedness plan challenges, and also the way forward. My aim of the presentation is actually to share with all of you regarding our inter-facility transfer of confirmed Ebola virus diseases if it's occur in Sarawak. But to note that since June 2016, WHO already declared the end of Ebola virus transmission in the Republic of Guinea and Liberia. All right. Okay, just a little bit of general knowledge. So, Miri Hospital is located in the state of Sarawak. Okay, Sarawak is actually a land of Hornbill. It's in East Malaysia. So where are we? Miri is actually located at the northern region of Sarawak. We are the second largest city in Sarawak and also the second largest division in Sarawak. So Miri is actually a referral hospital for northern Sarawak. If you look at the distance between Miri and Kuching is about 400 kilometers. If you use a commercial flight, it takes about 1 hour. And if you use a land transfer, it takes about 12 hours. But why Miri is chosen by the Ministry of Health to be the dedicated retrieval team for Sarawak, I also don't know, but we are very lucky to be chosen as one of the retrieval team for Sarawak together with Likas Hospital in Sabah and also Sungai Buloh Hospital in West Malaysia. Okay. But what have Emergency and Trauma Department of Miri Hospital done in the preparation for the Ebola virus disease? So we started with a small baby steps. So with the appointed letter from the Ministry of Health, so together with the Likas Hospital and also Sungai Buloh Hospital, Miri Hospital has chosen to be the retrieval team for Sarawak. And for your information, we don't have any dedicated teams for any retrieval teams in Sarawak. So this is our first time to be having a retrieval teams in Sarawak. Alright, so following that, we managed to form our EBD retrieval team in Sarawak, which include one specialist, one medical officer, and also 2 paramedics initially. But after some times, we managed to recruit a total of 2 specialists, 3 medical officers, and 6 paramedics. All of us are actually from Emergency and Trauma Department, Miri Hospital. Our goal is actually to retrieve if any of a confirmed EBD case from any hospitals in Sarawak. So the team has to go to that hospital and pick up the patient and bring the patient to our dedicated hospital for positive of confirmed EBD cases, which is in Sarawak General Hospital in Kuching. So after the team has formed, so we work out on the flow. How are we going to get a patient from each hospital? So basically, with the help from colleagues from emergency and trauma department, ID, infection control disease department, from basically from major hospital with specialists in Sarawak. So we discuss among ourselves through WhatsApp group because we are staying far away from each other. So finally we come up with the workflow on how are we going to retrieve a patient from each hospital. So this is actually part of the workflow of retrieval for EBD cases. On top of that, we also discussed regarding the action cards of each team members, so that to minimize any interruptions or any contamination between each other. So this is actually examples of our action cards. So we must have our dedicated action cards for each dedicated team members. And don't forget, the training part is the most important thing. Since we don't have much experience on in terms of managing and confirm Ebola virus disease, but with the help from our ID colleague, so we started at a hospital level first, whereby we practice on our safety precautions, including also the donning and doffing of the PPE, because that's the most crucial part in dealing with so infectious disease cases, especially in Ebola virus disease. And on top of that, we also manage to train in terms of loading and unloading the patient into the isopod. So don't worry, I will show you the isopod later on. Okay, so here comes the isolation part. Some people call it isopod. Some people also call it giant iPod. So any name is suitable for these equipments. We were actually first being introduced to isopod on the 21st October 2014. So the first team, the retrieval team from Nikas Hospital, who brought to us the isopod. So this is the first time we actually saw the isopod in our life. If you can see their facial expression, it's actually a lot of facial expression there. Some of them even in shock, like, is this impossible to put patient in this isopod? So, but following, I think training, just a short training has shown by the team from Nikas Hospital. So we managed to learn how to assemble and disassemble the isopod. And I can tell you, it takes a lot of training for you to be master and for you to be able to set up the isopod, if possible, less than 5 minutes. So the next picture, this picture is actually showed how the team members, our retrieval team, assemble and deassemble the isopod. It takes a lot of time to really master in this isopod. We also invited some of an expert from other hospital, especially team from Sungai Buloh and also Nikas Hospital. So Dr. Sabra is actually paid a visit to us and share her experience on the air retrieval before we actually move on to our own air simulation in few weeks' time. So during that time, we actually gather all the staff from our Miri hospital, including our hospital director, team from infectious disease control unit, team from emergency department, medical, and also representative from nearby district hospital, which is Pintu Hospital. So she shared her experience regarding egg retrieval, and we actually discussed on the real simulation that will be taken place from Miri Hospital to Kuching. Okay, so this is the dedicated ambulance. Why I show this picture? Because as you all know that the retrieval team is actually from Miri Hospital, and the dedicated hospital is from Kuching Hospital, which is 400 kilometer, right? So we plan to secure the eye support on the stretcher while carrying the patient inside the aircraft. So we have to decide which actually ambulance is suitable, that is available throughout the hospital. So based on the WhatsApp we discussed, finally we choose the Toyota ambulance to be used for during our ED simulation. So this is our dedicated ambulance. What we do, we will secure the eye support under stretcher, and we will carry the stretcher inside the aircraft. Once we arrive at the Kuching International Airport, so the ambulance from the Sarawak General Hospital we will use their ambulance and the same stretcher to fit into the ambulance. So it could be much easier. So just imagine if you use different types of ambulance from different hospitals, it will not fit into the ambulance. And the other problem, we have, because we have to decide to fly the patient, to transfer a patient using an air transfer. So we have to choose which aircraft to use. So in Miri, so we have a few choices. So, but finally, it's either the small aircraft from the Layang-Layang Sembilan Berhad, and the other one is actually from the Fire and Rescue Department Air Division parked in the Miri airport. So this is the Layang-Layang Aerospace Sembilan Berhad. The aircraft is actually small, so it's quite difficult to handle a patient, and very infectious disease patient inside this aircraft. The second one is the bigger aircraft from the Fire and Rescue Department, and as you can see, the aircraft is so spacious, and with the help from the Fire and Rescue Department Air Division, so they agreed to join with this Ministry of Health to help us to transfer a patient of any confirmed EBD patient from Miri to Sarawak General Hospital. And once we decided on that aircraft, the team had to practice in terms of loading and unloading the eye support into the dedicated ambulance. Following that, they also practice in terms of loading and unloading the eye support into the aircraft, which is called MI-171. And for your information, for the retrieval team, they have to train and to practice everything, including the strapping inside the aircraft, because once you are suit up with the patient, so the air crew from the Fire and Rescue Department Air Division are not going to help us in terms of managing the clinical side. So the team has to practice everything. So they have to practice including the strapping and managing all the complications that might occur inside the aircraft pertaining to the patient. So, but the air crew is very helpful. So thank you, Abang Bomba, for helping us. So after that, so we are thinking. So after we are quite comfortable with the training and all, so we are taking a little bit bigger steps. So yeah, as my colleagues mentioned before, of course, to run a good simulation in terms of interfacility, we need a good networking from other agencies. So we had multiple discussions with also Malaysia Airport Berhad and also DCA. So our aim is actually to form a good networking and coordinating simulation on the interfacility transfer of a confirmed EBD case, which is a dry case only. And of course, no money, no talk. Without any equipment, without any assets, consumable, we can't run you can't run any good simulation or managing any infection control patient. So I would like to thank the Ministry of Health for giving us such a some amount of money, so for us to buy an isopod and also consumable, because we also need to supply our consumables in terms of PPE to our air crew from fire and rescue department as well. And following that, before we move on to the real simulation, we did a few mini simulations at the local setting, basically from our emergency department to ID ward, and then from ID ward to helicopter, that's all. But we did it multiple times to just get a feel how the real case will be look like. And now we will all suit up and we are ready to move on. So the day has come, so our aim is basically to run an inter-facility transfer of a confirmed EBD case. The case is actually, the scenario is actually patient at the Cebu General Hospital, and the team from Miri Hospital has to fly to Cebu and pick up the patient and will fly to Sarawak General Hospital. So I think you have seen the video, so this is again the video. It's just a repetition. Alright, I think we shot. Alright, a little bit of challenges. Of course, the main challenges for us is actually to keep all the healthcare providers, all the retrieval team safe throughout the journey. Especially involve flying, right? So we are not familiar with the retrieval team policy. So other challenges actually mainly the weather dependent, because for your information, if because weather is important. If let's say you want to transfer a patient, so if the bad weather, definitely we cannot fly. And other than that, of course, patient dependent is so costly. Training is also problem to us, because the aircrew from fire and rescue department, they are actually in 2 weeks rotation in Miri. So the dedicated aircrew from fire and rescue department, they are in 2 weeks rotation, so it's difficult to meet up with them. So they have to practice on their own and we have to practice on our own. So only once a while we have to meet up and practice together. So that would be one of the challenges as well. Way forward, since I mentioned we don't have a dedicated retrieval team, so we hope that in future we could have formed a good dedicated emergency and medical retrieval service in Sarawak by providing a good critical care and safe transfer for a patient to a definitive treatment and hospitals. So special thanks, of course, to all the hospitals, ID and ETD from Miri, Bintulu, Cebu, MSH, and also our observers from Likas and Sungai Buloh, our Ministry of Health, JKNS, and a big thanks to our rescue and fire department air division in Miri, Malaysia, Berhad, Hornbill, DCA, for helping us throughout the preparation, throughout the journey, preparing for Ebola virus disease. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarita. Any questions from the floor? With respect to her presentation on the Ebola suit-up.
I have one question. Thank you, Dr. Duz, for this excellent presentation and this excellent preparation for Ebola transportation. I have quite a couple of questions and comments. First question for you: when you started the recruitment of the doctor and of the team, did you face any reluctancy or something like that from people that didn't want to get involved in such kind of terrible disease?
Yeah. Yes, of course. We don't have to beg for them, but actually, that's why during the initial phase, we only managed to recruit some of them, but I think again with the education and explanation, and also with the help from other specialists from ID unit, so we actually managed to recruit more, and once they in the team, so and they practice and they actually finally understand why we need this team and what's the actually main purpose of having this retrieval team. So well, I think I'm quite happy with the number of the teams. And at that time, also we don't have much staff in our department since we only district hospital major specialist. So, but we still need to focus more on our clinical side rather than the retrieval team. But I think we are quite happy with that number actually.
And where did you learn the donning and doffing? How did you learn that? How did you learn to wear your PPEs, donning and doffing?
Oh yeah, how we learn to don and to doff the PPE, and of course our main supporter is actually from our ID colleague. So they are actually the main pillar of strength. So they are the main team who actually train us on donning and doffing of the PPE. We have they come up with the flow chart on how to don in and doffing. And of course, to donning and doffing, we must have our safety officer. So during the training, our ID colleague, our ID nurse, and also one of representative of ED will be our safety officer. So what we do is actually every shift, every morning when the team gather, so they will do at least once a day, once a day to practice on the donning and doffing. And the most important thing is actually the hand hygiene. That's all.
And how much did it take all this training time? How much time all this training take?
Before we go for the real time flight, it takes about 3 months. I can say 3 months.
Basis?
Yeah.
On everyday basis?
Once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any question from the audience? Please.
Good morning, Dr. Noor and Dr. Kui from St. Ambulance. My question is, the transport involves ambulances and air transport. So if you're carrying a real patient, what measures are you going to take if there's an accident? Thank you.
Okay. All right. The decision to use the aircraft from the fire and rescue department is actually from the Ministry of Health. So I assume, so you were informed that. So because so Ministry of Health will cover for everything. Yeah.
No, what I mean is, on the road, accident can happen anytime. If the patient's inside, if there's an accident and your port broke, how do you contain the infection from spreading? Thank you.
I think no one has an answer for that. Globally, Ebola will spread much less in the air, ambient air, than in the hospital or in a confined place. So I think when you have such kind of accident, if the crew is still safe, they want to work on the patient, they want to work on the others, and they're going to try to make no one comes to clearer to the nearer to the cause of this accident. But it's a very tough question, and I think that no one has a perfect answer for that.
Yes, in fact, I think it would be more fair to ask you whether you have any contingency plan in case a patient deteriorate and would, for example, the patient who require assisted ventilation or even CPR.
Okay. During the flying time, we already decided. So if anything happened to patient, any deteriorating inside the aircraft, we will not do anything for the patient, because remember we will only fly a dry case. So that's the main reason we don't fly any wet patient, because we know that once the patient becomes wet, they will definitely deteriorate. So the moment patient confirm and patient still in the dry stage, so we will transfer. So but of course we anticipate that patient might deteriorate on the way. So, but safety first. So safety to the healthcare providers first. Anything happen to the patient? So
Yeah, I think it's an
only God knows.
excellent answer. Excellent answer. Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Noor, for this excellent presentation.
So the next is Dr. Baran Palanimutu. Please, the time.
A very good evening to all delegates, judges, friends, my highly dedicated iMIREX team. Okay, I'm Dr. Baran Palanimutu. I'm a medical officer from Kuala Lumpur General Hospital. So today, I would like to share my experience on Kara bus tragedy. So what really happened was about 2 months back, there's a bus overturned in one of the main highway in Malaysia. We call it a Kara highway. So I just want to share what really happened on that day, what was the situation. A lot of people will hear story about how we manage case and so on. But I will put for you the real video which is taken on that day of the event. So it's just sharing experience. So the intention was we want everybody to learn. Tragedy can happen anywhere, but at the same time to learn. So we hope so the mistake that, not to say mistake, insufficiency which has been done will not be repeated. So a special thanks to my consultant emergency physician Dr. Alzamani Idros, Dr. Ratini, and also a special thanks to my head of department, Professor Dr. Sri Dr. Abu Hassan Asari. At the same time, emergency department from Hospital Sungai Buloh, Selayang, and also Rao, which respond to the same casualty. So I would like to start. Okay, a fine day. I was a medical officer in charge for Yellow Zone. I was doing my PM shift. So I received a call from my call center stating that there is a tourist bus overturned in Kara Highway, estimated about 12 casualties. Sungai Buloh GH, Selayang GH responded. However, we need backup. So after you go to ambulance bay, ambulance leaving in 2 minutes time, grab your things and hop in. That's the instruction given by the MECC staff to me. And I said, why? Why me? Yeah, it's just a joke. If not me, who else can do it? Because we are in emergency setting, right? So if not us, so I hope so. I always have this feeling that nobody else can do if not us, because we handle all kind of categories of people. So it was me maybe. So inside the ambulance, I operate in the ambulance together with my specialist. So there's a conversation between me and also my specialist. So I asked, boss, what we going to do? So a rough idea, which I mapped it. So it's a disaster management plan inside the ambulance ongoing. So we mapped it, we categorized it into a high risk zone, tactic zone, and also strategy zone. We're going to place our base over the yellowy circle line. So this was our idea that time. And obviously we don't really bring the tags because the time is so crucial. But we managed to get a cellophane tape which is colored red, yellow and green. So for tagging purpose. So once in the ambulance, then this was happened. So I play a real video. Yeah, and there was a traffic jam. Actually, we are heading towards the accident, which is in the opposite road. But I'm not sure why the jam over this side of the road. Maybe they stopped not exactly there, so it delayed our ambulance ride actually. Maybe they want to go back and tell the family that I was involved in this accident, but I was just in the opposite road. Then we will be told that in the opposite side where the bus overturned, there's a massive traffic jam as far as 10 kilometers, and the opposite there, which is not over the bus overturned side, few kilometers of jam, which we know why. Okay, so open arrival at the scene. No patient at the scene to be actively managed. I like. You call me all the way from Kuala Lumpur to manage patient, but no patient here. Fine. We ask from the commander on ground. There's a commander, the police there. So we should always approach them and ask how many casualties are there. How about the severity of the patient? Where were they directed? We want to know all the detailed history. So I have been told 7 casualties sent to hospital Bentong, condition unknown. For the other speakers, hospital Bentong is one of the district hospital. But however, we don't have any neurosurgeons there. Even for CT brain purpose, they have to send to another district hospital. So very limited source there. Then one casualty sent to Selang GH. Selang GH much more superior than hospital Bentong. They have a CT scan machine. It's a tertiary center actually. Then 2 casualties on the way to HKL by already leave the hospital, and I don't know. All the conditions are unknown. So we updated back the condition and the patient from the scene to base. Always remember, once we respond to one of the casualties, the person who should be updated will be our base. End of the day, all the bosses, all statistics should go from our base, so that we keep on updated. And if let's say we need some resource, we need some help, they can arrange for us. Don't be a one-man army there telling I can do everything. Don't. It's a teamwork. Do as a team. So this will be another video I take from the scene. So this was the condition of the overturned bus. You can see a few evidence there, and the people still walking around. The police should clear this setting, and you can see the spillage of the blood. So the bus was overturned because it was a rainy day. The bus coming down from a hill downwards, and it slipped and hit the divider and overturned. Things to be noted here. Dangers should always be avoided, and the person standing in front, he might be stuck on any broken glasses or anything. So police should clear this zone, but they did very well. They never really allow any public to come front. Maybe the bus owner or the bus company people were there, and this was the condition of the overturned bus. And we can see spillage of petrol down there. And we can see this red color uncle, he is actually smoking. I told him not to smoke here, or I might record a live bus blast. So I alerted him. I told uncle, do not smoke here. The petrol is actually spilling all over. If let's say it got caught to fire, then that's it. Alright. So this will be the stills which we took. So this is the oil spillage from overturned bus. And this is the condition where the bus actually hit the divider. So once we got to know there is no casualty to be actively managed, we found out there is a 4 casualty on scene, which is a couple which they refused to go hospital because they sustained superficial abrasion wound. They're still waiting for the relative to come and pick from the scene, because all all casualties in this bus accident were Singaporean. They are not Malaysian. So they were heading back to Singapore actually. So this Chinese couple, they wanted to go back to Singapore. They want to continue the treatment in Singapore. So they refused to go hospital. And the bus driver and co-driver also sustained minor abrasion wounds. So 7 casualties been sent to Bentong GH. 3 of them discharged well. 4 of them sent back to Kuala Lumpur GH. The story is when they arrived in hospital Bentong, their GCS scoring was only 4. And one of them was GCS was 4, and they were intubated in hospital Bentong. And there is a plan on to transfer this patient to go and do CT scan in hospital Temulo. However, we managed to get the information, and our emergency physician lies with the emergency physician in hospital Bentong to transfer all the patient come back to hospital Kuala Lumpur. So 2 of the patients sent directly to hospital Kuala Lumpur. One of them sustained type 2 respiratory failure with ARDS, which require intubation bilateral chest tube insertion. But subsequently, once patient stable, the patient was transferred back to Singapore. The second patient sustained cerebral concussion and lung contusion. This patient also transferred back to Singapore after stabilized. One patient sent to hospital Selayang sustained minor injuries, but discharged well. But I would like to tell that Hospital Selayang is a high capacity hospital which actually can take more seriously injured patients. So the question mark here will be the triage system when we are not there. So later I will explain. Further follow-up of the patient from Bentong GH in HKL. I stated before this were 4 patients being transferred from Hospital Bentong to HKL. One of the patients had an open skull fracture. We referred to our neurosurgical team. However, the patient to be treated conservatively. But eventually, the patient passed away in neurosurgical department. So the concept, what is the learning point Pearl said for? Managing patient as a whole. Patient life-threatening condition to be managed immediately. So the person who did the triage from the civil defense, which our Ministry of Health facility, I'm not sure, maybe for us to go from Kuala Lumpur, Selayang, maybe it will take some time comparatively for them to respond earlier. However, they did a great job. They attend the patient first and they triage the patient to go to the nearest hospital, which is a Bentong. But as I told you before, Bentong Hospital, a small district hospital, which for them to receive a 4 critically ill patient will be a strain for them. So, however, they did the initial part, primary surveys, need for intubation, they did their very best. Correct patient to be sent to correct place at correct time to be managed correctly and to be sent by correct people, as what Dr. Azamani saw just now. Patient relative allowed to stay in observation way with food provided by hospital. We all know all these patients are from Singapore, and for them to stay in Kuala Lumpur is quite pricey, and it's actually a mass disaster. So in emergency HKL, we actually provide a place for them to stay. We have our intermediate ward, so we prepare a bed and we actually ordered food via our diet department for them to be served food according to the time. A proper explanation given on diagnosis and management plan to avoid misunderstanding. So since it's an international issue with our neighboring country, Singapore, their citizens are here, we don't want to provide the limited type of explanation which will cause a tension between 2 countries. So even though it's just a bus accident, we as a doctor, we attend a patient deserves to be explained, deserve to be explained regarding what really happened to them. And in another word, it will reduce their burden of their tension maybe. All of them are traumatized, so we should have some empathy and explain to them. Families were reunited. There is a family where 3 of them were reunited. Father was admitted in red zone, child who is 4 years old admitted in yellow zone, and mother was in observatory bay. What we did, we brought the child from yellow zone and we placed in our intermediate ward. Our intermediate ward also we designated a medical officer there in case of emergency to be attended fast. So both mother and child were reunited. This kind of very small, minute things really matters for the patient in the time of trauma and also the tension which they are going through now. We work closely with the Singaporean Embassy and HCAL Public Relationship Officer to deliver the best for all victims. And remember the patient which I told had a open skull fracture. We assist all the family members to have unlimited access to ICU. Not in the sense of all of them will go one time. We know ICU sets their rules to visit the patient and so on. But at the same time, we do lives with the neurosurgical team to allow them to go and see when the time. Okay, time is up. When even though it's a night, we still allow because it's a conservative management and we know what's going to happen. Okay, role of social media for perception management. A good PRO, public relation team. Sorry, boss. So last slide, role of media for us to inform them. This is the paper, newspaper. A few pearls and pitfalls, as I told just now. Okay, a sudden transfer of patient from district hospital overwhelmed red zone even though we able to handle all the patient. So suddenly 4 patients being brought into red zone hospital Kuala Lumpur with our co-existing patient is quite overwhelmed. We still can manage, but it should be properly done anyway. So thank you. So that's why my presentation was it was a drizzling before downpour. It was initially drizzling in our red zone and suddenly it had a downpour. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Baran, for nice presentations. Is there any question for the floor? Yes.